Abundant light, and they grew up all competing for light. Some of them would lose the battle for light, while other ones kept on and they would fall. And it's at a point right now where they've formed a really dense canopy above. There's like pretty much a solid canopy with not a lot of gaps. And the result of this is what you'd call the stem exclusion phase of a forest. We look at the different structures of a forest as it develops after disturbance. So you start off with stand initiation, these trees coming up, they get bigger and you get to the stem exclusion phase. And characteristic of this phase is that there's very little growth in the understory. There's not a lot of, there's some ferns, but there's not a lot of diversity of herbs and shrubs. There's very little biodiversity. I mean, I look around and I see a little bit of moss here and there. I don't see any lichens. There's very little biodiversity, and this is really typical. If anything, if this forest were a little bit younger, we might even see less plants in the understory. I mean, here we've got a little bit of gaps. But anyway, so as the forest goes past stem exclusion phase, you get stand reinitiation, or understory initiation, and you get shade tolerant trees growing up. You get a lot more shrubs, and this is partly the result of some of these trees falling over, making gaps and providing the opportunity for other things to grow. So that's just something to look out for as we head up, because we're now nearing the old growth and we're going to start to see an understory of hemlock growing up, and it's a pretty noticeable difference. And also keep your eye open for biodiversity. We're going to start seeing a lot more different plant species. We're going to see skunk cabbage, which grows in the really marshy areas, these big, thick, fleshy green leaves. We're going to see devil's club, which kind of looks like a maple leaf, but it's really spiky. And don't touch that. And we're going to see lots of lilies, and we're going to see lots of ericaceous shrubs. And just keep your eye open for that. And let's head in there.
What does ericaceous mean?
I'll talk about that later, but there's
but as far as like organizing and stuff, or finding people, like I can't even keep up with, like, how do you really do that? Like I can't even keep up with like the basic emails, much less like taking on a whole new task, like big projects like that.
It's a great example of why an old forest contributes to biodiversity. Now you've noticed probably that there's a lot more vegetation. You probably see these big gaps. You see some, there's old snags, so lots of dead standing trees. Those create a niche for lots of birds and wildlife. And then you get lots of coarse woody debris, lots of big logs everywhere that have fallen over. And here's an example of how that's created a niche for a whole bunch of species. So right here on this single log, we've got a crazy diversifications on hold, and move as a big, huge group in total silence for the next 5 or 10 minutes of trail. And as we do this, I invite everybody just to open your ears and listen to the sound of the forest. I know we can still hear the city, but just forget about that. Listen to the forest, look around, look at the plants, look at the big trees, and yeah, that would be great if we could just, that'll help us all experience the, I don't know, I call it the revitalization qualities of this forest. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right. Let's do it then.